Hello and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Miel. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series where I interview an awesome Black woman a day for 29 straight days. And today I'm super delighted to have Sabrina Philippe, who's a doctor of physical therapy, to come talk about her awesome story. Take a listen. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi, Laura.
Good to hear from you. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
You are way too excited. I know. First question's always the same. Answer's always awesome. I have a feeling your answer's going to be hilarious. Sabrina, what was your first job?
Okay, so I just want to say first, thank you for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here. So, my first job, I've had many jobs growing up. I guess my first unofficial job was when I was 14. I actually worked in a hair salon, which is very interesting. So, I was just kind of like stocking shelves, helping out with like roller sets, cleaning up and all that stuff. But I love that it was my first job because it kind of instilled this like hardworking personality that I have. So yeah, that was my first job experience. My first actual job experience as a physical therapist is in an outpatient clinic, and it's great to be there. So it's just funny to think about what my first job was and where I am today.
Awesome. So, okay, we go from that very first clinic to where you are now. Talk to me about the career journey that you've had so far.
So, about the career journey so far, I would say I am definitely in a setting that I never thought that I would be. I kind of didn't really want to be in this setting, but although like every there's always like a blessing in disguise. So, in the setting that I'm in, I'm able to see the population that I want to see, which is really nice. So, I'm in an outpatient orthopedic clinic, but I also see neurological conditions and also vestibular conditions, which is really cool. And I love that I'm able to be in a space where I'm able to formulate this population that I want to see. So that's very awesome.
So, talk to us about being a physical therapist because full disclosure, Sabrina was my physical therapist when I broke my ankle last summer, and she did a wonderful job because I just was telling her I bought a pair of heels the other day. So clearly, she did a good job. So, how do you do your job?
My job is very interesting. Like it's definitely working with people and being able to connect and understand alongside being able to think about the person like holistically. So we're not only treating impairments, but treating the person itself. So I feel like I wear many hats in my job. So it's like I'm thinking about like the clinical side and all the biomechanics that I've learned in school, but also kind of curating that to fit my patients kind of like lifestyle and stuff. So that's what I really love about the job. It's a lot of like critical thinking, being on your feet, but also just really know how to communicate with others.
And when folks are coming into physical therapy, oftentimes, they're in this sort of different mental state because, oh my gosh, I broke this, I sprained this, or I can't move with this. What are some of the things that you try and do to help folks kind of find their way back to themselves?
I really love to focus on what people are passionate about and try to like relate to them versus like treating them like, okay, like you're only here for your ankle. I try to make it very almost like very intimate, you know? I really get to like know the person, really try to find the things that they like. And then in the session, I try to like incorporate that and just try to make them feel like, like I'm really here for them every step of the way and helping them overcome not only like a physical challenge, but also sometimes a mental challenge.
And it's really important. You are a little bit younger than most doctors of physical therapy. How did you maneuver all of this so quickly? And has that ever been a challenge for you? Because obviously you're under 30.
Yeah, I would say being young, a young doctor of physical therapy is very challenging within itself because I am so young and I look very young. But I try to focus on my strengths as a physical therapist and do the best job that I can do because I know that I am in this space for a reason. I had the schooling, I had the education. So I just try to be firm on my clinical decision making and just try to just be a strong person and lead with that, which I think helps really, really well because I feel like people do think I'm a little older than they probably would have thought, but still young to them. But yeah, I use that definitely to my advantage because I think that I have like the newest evidence-based research, bringing it out into the clinic, into the new world, especially how PT is evolving and changing.
Oh, awesome. Now, when someone gets hurt, like what are some ways that like you can sort of help folks like deal with the fact that like yes, you have to do physical therapy, and no, it's not gonna ruin your life.
I think what helps patients in the clinic, it's not just me encouraging them and being their cheerleader, but I think like the environment that we're in is very encouraging for our patients because there are a lot of patients that come in with similar injuries and kind of seeing somebody that's in the middle or the tail end of their recovery, it's encouraging for patients to be like, okay, you see, like I know I might not be able to walk right now and I'm on crutches, but I know in a couple of weeks I'll be walking out of here without any crutches, any brace, going up and down stairs and kind of returning to what my normal function is like. So we tried to create like a really great environment where we're like cultivating that positive energy.
I love that. So, talk to me about a time when you had a challenge. You're like, there's no way I'm going to get through this. And then you did.
So I would have to say PT getting into PT school was very challenging. When I applied to PT school, it was when COVID happened. So I just had finished graduating, was doing my prereqs for COVID, and suddenly like the world shut down. And it was honestly a very scary moment because, like you have this plan in life and like all of a sudden the world stops and you're like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do next? And so I wasn't sure if I was going to get in. I was contemplating if I should apply or just wait. And then I just decided, you know what, like if I don't try to open this door, I'm never going to know what's going to happen. So I decided to apply. Originally, I wanted to go to school in New York, but the universe works in mysterious ways, and I ended up in Philadelphia, which I love that I did. So yeah, I would say that time was super, super challenging because it wasn't only scary for myself, but for everyone around me, and I just was unsure of the unknown. Since the world shut down, the application process was different. Like you couldn't reach anybody, you couldn't get into hospitals for clinic hours, you couldn't get into outpatient for clinical hours. So it was very challenging to maneuver that environment.
How did you manage it in the midst of all of that?
Just being persistent. I emailed every person that I could. I studied for my GRE like while I was in house with like my entire family. I tried not to break down, just being positive and praying. I mean, it was a very difficult time to, try to not like be just thinking of myself because others out there were, dying and what was going on in the world. So it was just being like holding on to like hope and trusting in God that things would work out the way that they would. And I knew that I was going to be okay. It was just hard to accept in the moment because it was just a very bumpy road to get there.
I love that. But you found your way. That's the most important
But I
thing.
found my way and I graduated. So, and I
You
passed
graduated and
boards.
you got your
So
doctorate.
yeah, I don't think that it was the plan or the road that I had planned for myself originally. But again, I felt like from that experience, I definitely learned to not be so closed off to other opportunities or other ideas and my own thinking, but to be open to everything. So, yeah, I think it was a great learning experience. It was challenging to trust myself, to work hard, and to just keep pushing through. So, yeah.
So obviously you've got a stressful job because every day you see all manner of like 20, 30 people a day with all varying illnesses and ailments and aches and pains. And it's gotta be a lot to endure, remember, and manage. So what does Sabrina do for Sabrina? What do you do for your self-care?
So for my self-care, I love a good manicure. I love going to get my nails done, and I really love just sitting down, putting on a show, and getting a really nice manicure that brings me such joy, and it's like my me time. I would also say spending time with family, although it's not like me time, traditional me time, but spending time with my loved ones is definitely something that I love, especially that I have a new baby nephew. That's very exciting. So it's just great to like be with my family and to just spend time with them. I don't know, it brings me so much joy. I come from a big family, so that's something that's very special to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Looking back on what you've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time, what do you think you'd tell 18-year-old Sabrina?
I would tell 18-year-old Sabrina to be confident in who she is, continue to be persistent, and not to be afraid in the spaces that she's going to be in and that she is in. because you're a very smart, bright girl. And I definitely know more than I think that I do. So I just would tell myself to, continue trusting your gut, continue to be persistent, and, do what you want to do because you can accomplish anything. As cheesy as that sounds, but it's really true. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a really good way of kind of looking at all the universes that we have, especially at this really unique and weird and challenging moment that we're in. that we're in. Gotta ask you, how do people stay healthy? 'Cause I feel like when I was younger, I can't believe I'm saying when I was younger. Oh my God, we didn't break as many things. We didn't have tears and I pulled this muscle, blah 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 blah. Like, what can people be doing so that when they're exercising, working out, so they don't hurt themselves?
Yeah. So what I would say is that preventative care is something that is so important. Just a generality, go to see your primary care every year, keeping up on your blood tests and just, making sure that you're generally healthy. And I would also say just keep moving. I feel like some people think that resting and just laying down is kind of probably better than moving at all. But I think like going for a walk and just moving your body is the best medicine out there. Kind of why I love physical therapy so much is because that you can be fixed through movement. And I would say like if you're in the gym, and if you're unsure of moving, there are definitely so many good videos and resources out there. Of course, make sure that they're accredited and that they come from a legit place. I think even going down to your local, physical therapy office, there are physical therapists who provide personal training as well. But mostly, like if you're doing something in the gym that doesn't feel comfortable or doesn't feel safe, I would say listen to your body, modify that exercise, or stop and, ask a professional for help. But as cheesy as it sounds, movement is medicine. So keep on moving.
Well, yeah, I think that's a big part of it, especially now. It's like, folks, get back out there, exercise, whatever it may be. It's so important. I mean, I think I see at least once or twice a day on Instagram someone saying who they're 80 years old and they're lifting weights and they look amazing. So it's like, yeah, it's a lifelong process in terms of keeping yourself healthy and keeping yourself active.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, sometimes I feel like people get scared to, go to the gym and work out because they're not looking to bulk up or if they're not training for something. But, exercise doesn't mean that you have to pursue that to gain weight or build muscle or whatever it is. There are other forms of exercises to target, like, cardiovascular health is just as important. So doing something aerobic, getting on a bike, getting on a treadmill, an elliptical, anything like that. So it doesn't have to be just because you have strength gains or goals, or if you're trying to train for something. Just being in the gym, exercising in general is just good for your overall health.
Yeah, I find it's really good for your mental health to kind of kick off your day of doing whatever exercise it may be, a little bit or a lot. But it definitely helps in like changing my mood, and putting me in an excellent mood, so I won't make fun of people all day long.
I mean, you love coming to therapy every day, so
No, we're good. It's expensive. Since you're in my building, I'm good. Since you've got lots of good advice, Lady Sabrina, do you have a give and or ask of the audience? That could be
hmm,
anything. It could be a word of advice. It can be a book I read. It can be an exercise. Anything you want.
I would say word of advice, I guess, to my young professionals out there, if you're graduating college, going out into the world and stuff, or you're trying to get there, I would say, continue to be persistent about things, continue to knock on doors and take every opportunity that's presented to you. Because I really feel like in my journey becoming a physical therapist, it has really shaped who I am and just made me very like confident also in my skills because those opportunities really prepared me. So although you might think that this is the right path for you, if something comes along and it's not doesn't quite fit in your path, potentially take it because it might, open a door to something that's incredibly great or set you up, for your future. So keep knocking on those doors.
Well, it's true because I mean, I think we've talked about this. That like, if you had told me when I hate to say this, when I was your age, um, that I would be doing what I'm doing right now, I'd be like, yeah, no, because I was a project manager. I was a technical project manager. who
Mhm.
didn't really speak up and was, worked behind the scenes and made sure very tech heavy websites got pushed online. Like I was very concerned about like sizes of websites and how many KBs they were. And to see that I'm doing what I'm doing now, would be like, oh no, that's not gonna happen. But like it does. And I'm
Yeah, and here you are now.
yes, I don't push very expensive websites up anymore. I just tell people what to do. So that hasn't changed. But I think that's a really important thing that like I would like Gen Zers especially to understand the importance of not everything is going to be perfect, and not everything is going to be solved in 22-minute series. It's okay if stuff goes left and right, and then way left and then way right before you start to
Mhm.
go down the way you're supposed to go. It's totally fine. You're not a failure. You didn't mess up. Your life isn't over. Like, go watch TikTok and calm
Exactly. Exactly.
And now, last question for you: what's one thing that brings you joy?
So many things bring me joy. Like, sunlight brings me so much joy. My family brings me so much joy. My friends, my boyfriend bring me so much joy. Being around others bring me so much joy. I feel like in the times of all the craziness and stuff, I like to just sit back, and sometimes if I see just like a glimpse of sunlight come through my apartment window, that even just brings me joy, and it reminds myself to just, just relax, take a breath, and just be eternally grateful for everything that I have. So yeah, I mean, I don't have one particular thing that brings me joy, but yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I did say one thing and you gave me seven. That's okay.
I
I,
did say several.
there are no rules. I am just messing with you because I can. This is your first interview ever, so I get to mess with you. Like this is,
Can you tell?
so delightful for me. Um, but all kidding aside, I cannot thank you enough for your level of care and taking excellent and stick to itiveness to help me. Because as I made a joke earlier, like I bought a pair of heels over the weekend, and I would not have been able to do that confidently had it not been for you helping me get my ankle back to normal after a freak accident where I rolled my ankle and broke a piece of it off. So thank you, my darling, and thank you for being part of 29 Days of Magic. You had wonderful insights, and I don't care how young you are, you're brilliant at what you do, and I am and immensely proud to know you. So thank you so much for all the great work.
Aw, thank you, Laura. It's been a pleasure to get to know you, to work with you, and I'm eternally grateful. So thank you.
Awesome. And we'll put details in the show notes for you to connect with Sabrina. And that is our show.